Thor issue, I could fill the jokes with Thori quotes.
Yeah.
Thori is like the funniest character in comics.
He's the funniest character in Thor.
He's pretty funny, man. He's better than Deadpool these days. Mainly because Deadpool was just in so many books.
Right, yeah. He's spread so thin. All right. You ready?
Yes. I've coughed. I've sniffled. Sure, I'm ready.
Okay. Three, two, one. Hey there, Marvel fans. X-Men Exterminated.
What do robots drink at bars anyway?
Sandman is sad, man.
All this and more on this week's episode of the 6 Months Behind.
We're going to have to do that again.
What happened?
I lost you like halfway through.
Oh my God. Okay.
Three, two, one. Hey there, Marvel fans. X-Men Exterminated.
What do robots drink at bars anyway?
Sandman is sad, man.
All this and more on this week's episode of the 6 Months Behind podcast.
Three, two, one.
What is up? This is the 6 Months Behind podcast for the week of February 18th, 2019. I am Pat.
And I am Sean.
And this week, we're Robert Kraft and R. Kelly. I almost got all those R's and K's confused because they're stupid. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm not in jail for doing stupid things, so there's that.
Yes. And here's the thing. R. Kelly is one of those guys, this has been going on forever, and everybody knows about it, and suddenly someone decided to pay attention.
It was kind of the same thing with Bill Cosby. Like, Bill Cosby had allegations for decades.
Yeah.
Understand, I'm 29. I understood something was weird with R. Kelly in 2001 when I was in the 6th grade.
Yeah.
At the age of 12 in the 6th grade, I knew something weird was going on with R. Kelly, which meant that all the adults knew and had known for some time. And I mean, it's not like it was like, oh, sort of kind, like, dude, we knew. People had written articles. People had done interviews with people. I mean, people had gone and seen the sex dungeon in his basement and been like, yeah. he's got like a bunch of underage women living in his house with him who
his first wife was 15 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden it's a thing, which is, that's not a bad thing. I'm glad he's finally, seeing the consequences of his horrendous actions. But dude, why did it take so long?
I don't know, man. I do not know.
Yeah. And then Robert Kraft is just a moron.
Dude, when you got that much money, why do you go, let me say this delicately. Why do you go to a cheap massage parlor when you have as much money as he does?
It's not even really about the massage parlor. It's that he's probably involved in the trafficking of other human beings.
I thought he just went in and hooked up with somebody and got caught on tape.
He did, but in all that happening, it's been revealed that he's involved in the actual, like, he's the one, he's running that racket.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're going to give Colin Kaepernick a hard time. Okay.
Sure, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Anyway, if you have no idea what we're talking about, you live under a rock and don't watch the news. But yeah, anyway, we don't want to talk about that too much. We just thought it was kind of funny that, two guys like that ended up in the news this week.
Yeah. Funny in a haha kind of way.
Yeah. Anyway, if you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
The website is www.6monthsbehind.com.
And Pat, have you seen any comic book news this week?
Dude, if I do, I haven't remembered it. Oh, did I send you the story about the Avengers Death Squad team?
No.
Wolverine and Venom are leading it, and it's got the Punisher, and it's Wolverine, Venom, the Punisher, and a couple other characters in an Avengers team. I was like, okie dokie, that makes perfect sense.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah. Well, DC is falling apart, but other than that, everything's fine.
What are they doing?
Canceling all their comics.
I thought that dude, what are they canceling?
Everything that isn't Batman and Action Comics, essentially. I mean, I don't. Yeah, dude, it's bad. It's real bad. You would. There's been a bunch of shakeups in their upper management. Nothing that's hit editorial directly, but I feel like it's coming. I feel like Dan DiDio's on the chopping block, and I don't know, man.
Jim Lee may be working for Marvel again soon.
Maybe that's a possibility. Con season starts real soon. Comics Pro started, I think, this week, and then all the conventions should be starting here soon.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, DC's ending their Walmart comic book line, which was one of the few things that was making them money.
They just started that.
Yeah, they did.
Literally like 6 months ago, maybe.
They liquidated Action Comics 1000 to retailers, which means they were holding on to a bunch of copies of that. Yeah, just look at the quick headlines here. Yeah, things are bad at DC. And like they revived Mad Magazine like a year ago, and they're talking about axing that. And I'm like, dude, you haven't even had time to give it readership.
Well, we've talked about all the money due to creators, and Marvel isn't, and maybe that's catching up with them.
Yeah, but they're backed up by Warner Brothers, man. They should have no problem cutting checks.
You know, I listen to, this is a round the world story. I listen to Eric Bischoff's podcast, and what really killed WCW wasn't the WWF. It was the AOL Time Warner merger, because he talked about all the accounting and how the accounting was done. Turner was so big that WCW, even when he had them generating $300-400 million a year, was in a little box called Other, and nobody cared. You know, literally once they started making money, he was like, everybody was like, "Oh, cool, we're not losing money on this project anymore. Good." And I feel like DC is probably the same way with Warner Brothers. You know, Warner Brothers is so big that as long as you're not losing us a lot of money, no one cares. But the minute you start losing a lot of money, well, it's going to be an issue.
That's on the publication side.
Yeah. Probably didn't help any that the movies didn't do well. Well, Aquaman did. JLA didn't.
I don't know, man. Like, what are we talking about doing well? I mean, they were the number one movies in the box office for several weeks.
That's true.
I mean, in comparison to things like Black Panther and the Avengers, and apparently what Miss Captain Marvel's going to do, Miss Captain Marvel. Yeah, they're not Cal have been, and I think to expect them to be is out of line,
right?
Which, I mean, you know, people go, well, it's the other side of the coin. It's DC as opposed to Marvel. They should be just as good, but why? I mean, I think Marvel has hit a phenomenon that only Marvel can do, and that's just what it is. It's like back in the mid to early 2000s, World of Warcraft was the hot thing, and every game that came out was the WoW killer. Oh, it's going to kill WoW. It's going to kill. Nothing ever did. It was a fun, and this idea that World of Warcraft is a phenomenon all its own. You'll never be able to entice the average Joe to play other massively multiplayer online games. It was just a phenomenon that it wasn't a failure of marketing or development or anything. It was just they captured lightning in a bottle, and just because you can't do that too doesn't mean you're a failure.
Right.
In fact, the video game industry vastly improved when they stopped trying. So my thing is DC should just stop trying to be Marvel.
Right.
In the box office. Anyway, I don't know how we got here, but we're going to talk about some comic books. If you have not read all the comic books, you should pause here, come back later, and we will still be here.
Yes, we will.
Do you want to stop?
It's your call, man. I don't know how it sounds on your end. So are you.
You sound fine, but yeah, it's so bad.
If we sound all right,
what?
If we sound all right, we can just run with it, and I'll let you talk, and you can let me talk.
I mean, am I stuttering on your end?
Absolutely.
Dude, that's like an 8-second delay.
Yeah, it's bad, man.
Yeah, that's 8 seconds. From the time I said something, it was 8 seconds. I don't know. What do you want to do?
If we can make it work, we'll do it. If not, we'll I don't know. Try it tomorrow night.
You still having bad weather up there?
No, dude, it was sunny and 60 today, man. I got outside and did all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it was good here. Dude, I'm free pretty much all week except Tuesday. I know you don't like doing it on Mondays, but do you want to come back and try it again later?
We'll come back and try it Monday, man. Because this is.
Hang on, let me. The delay's too bad.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me look at something. Let's see if this is me or you. No, it's me. I'm bouncing all over the place. It's the internet was kind of slow this morning. It's possible they're doing work in the area after all the storms and stuff, and I'm just not getting the best internet. Oh no, never mind. The connection's relatively stable.
Yeah, it just got better for the first time in 10 minutes.
Okay, I don't know why.
I mean, literally, I got a good video feed. I can hear you fine.
Let's just start at Infinity Wars and we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1. So in our big events this week, we have Infinity Wars #2. I made this comment to you off the air. I feel like every book we read this week was at least 35 pages. There were so
Yes.
many plus size books that came out this week.
Yes.
Dude, it was every comic book I opened was 35 pages, 38 pages, 48 pages.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining, but I'm kind of complaining. Like, dude, just
I was complaining when I got Infinity War and Extermination at the same time off the newsstand, and those two books cost me $10. 12?
Oh yeah, no, that'd ticked me off. Anyway, so as we saw in the last issue, Thanos got hecka murdered by Gamora, who is the Infinity Lady or something. Anyway, we have a scene from the distant past where Thanos is talking to Gamora about his role in the universe, and that right now the universe is shaping someone to take him out. And we see, of course, her with this sword that's powered up by the Power Stone beheading Thanos. Now Thanos' head is talking to her. And I don't really know if it's Thanos or if she's just crazy. Meanwhile, she stabs Peter Quill in the stomach in the present. Doctor Strange, having the time stone, says, no, can't have this, and sets everything right. While he's doing that, he grabs Turk Barrett, pulls him into the astral plane, and is like, hey man, listen, you can either give me the stone, take the money you've made, and do something with that, or you're going to end up dead because you're way out of your league here. So hand me the stone. I'll send you home. You can keep the money. It'll be all good. And Turk's like, yeah, you know what? There's a crazy lady with a glowing sword. I think I'm going to take your deal. So he does.
Yeah, but he asks for a favor though too. Doctor Strange owes him one. Yeah.
Doctor Strange owes Turk Barrett a favor.
Yeah.
So back during the present, all the Avengers show up. There's a big old fight. Everybody's fighting over the stones. They subdue Gamora, or at least so they think. That's when everything goes to heck. She basically kills Doctor Strange and Captain America, takes out Tony. That gives her access to the Power Stone, the Reality Stone. She kills Adam Warlock. That gives her the Soul Stone and the Mind Stone. She's able to get the Power Stone away from Black Widow. And essentially at the end of this, she's pretty much all but reunited all the Infinity Stones. That's when Loki shows up and he's like, hold on a minute. So yeah, Gamora's pretty much ended up with all the stones. Or Loki might. We don't know.
Yeah, and I didn't know the answer to this a couple of weeks ago. I do now. Thanos is dead. But his head's missing. So there's that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure why anyone's interested in his head, but his head's missing. So really enjoyed this issue.
It was the best issue yet. It was the best issue so far.
Yeah, it kind of gets weird and takes a couple of odd turns next issue. Of course, we could always rave about Diodado's art, but yeah, it's good. Next up, we have our X books. If you counted, we almost have more X books than we do all the other books combined.
Yeah, they're publishing so many X-Men books these days.
Yes.
And that's every week. I mean, every week we spend most of our time in the section for X-Men comics.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with, but
they're about to cancel most of them.
Yeah, they are.
And roll it all in the Uncanny, which is a great read, by the way. It's a really good read. Have you read that yet?
Mm-mm.
Oh, dude, I get my comics every week, and there are some that get read immediately and some that don't. I got a stock of Tom King Batmans to read. Dude, that Uncanny book, I come home, sit down, and read it. That's how good it is. Yeah, it's really good, man. Yeah, it's good, man. Okay, so first up in the X-Men books, we have Extermination. Number 1, this is the this is it. Great cover on this. It opens 20 years from now with a hooded figure who we will learn later who he is. Well, I got two villains here, and I'm going to get confused if I don't do it. This is a very young Nathan Summers.
Mhm.
So this is a very young Cable, like teenage, early 20s.
Yeah, he's like 19 here.
Right. And we realized that he realizes that the timeline is really screwed up. And he says that the old man screwed it all up, and we'll learn later that he's referring to an older version of himself. Then we cut to New York, where there's a couple of mutant kids who are getting terrorized by people. The X-Men Blue team go to rescue them and get them back to the X-Mansion. Then we cut to Scott and Bloodstorm, who are on a date when the Hellhounds from Rachel Summers' future.
Yeah, Days of Future Past.
Right. The dude who runs them and two of the Hellhounds show up and attack Cyclops and Bloodstorm. First they kill Bloodstorm. She dead. She gone.
Yeah, she's dead. This is like the third time that they've killed her. So, like, for me, it wasn't. It was like, okay, you killed her again. Great. I think she's dead this time.
No, she's dead this time.
Yeah, but like, it really sucked the impact out of it for me because they keep killing her and bringing her back.
Yeah, and what Extermination is doing, I said they're canceling all, and we warned you about spoilers, so this is another warning. It's tying up all the loose ends in the X-Men universe before we get to Uncanny. So in the next, I forget if this came out every 2 weeks or monthly, but by the time this wraps up, X-Men Gold will be wrapped up, X-Men Blue will be wrapped up, some of the other books will be wrapped up, and we'll be on to Uncanny, and it'll be like the only book. Oh, and maybe by then we'll know how Wolverine got back. Anyway, so Bloodstorm's dead. Cyclops takes her to the X-Mansion. Bobby Drake gets attacked, and the old Nathan Summers saves him. Scott Storm gets to the X-Mansion where he wants to see Rachel Summers, and he's not real happy. About that time, the young Cable shows up with the old Cable and puts a couple of rounds in his head, so he's dead. At that time, the young Jean Grey, good gosh, is this confusing to anybody but me?
Nope.
It wasn't confusing till I said it out loud. There's like 3 Jean Greys running around, 2 Cables, two of all the X-Men.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Okay. So the young Jean Grey is working Cerebro when young Cable puts a couple of rounds in the old Cable and he dies. And then they find out about it. Then old Jean Grey shows up with Nightcrawler. Kurt is, of course, not Kurt. Iceman is captured by young Cable, and there you go. And this confusing mess starts making sense at some point.
Yeah, and of course the big reveal is that this is a young Cable, but
yeah, that was the big reveal at the end.
Yeah, if you've ever read an X-Men comic, you could figure it out by like page 3.
Right. I actually didn't because the two villains confused me, so I didn't know who was who. But once I got to the end, I was like, oh, well, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I've read this. It's going places and it gets weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of weird, we have X-Men, Astonishing X-Men Annual #1. I'll be honest, I didn't hate the story here. The story was actually okay. But holy crap, this art sucks. Like the very first page is Beast walking into a really fancy restaurant, and because he's not wearing a suit, he gets stopped by the maitre d', and the guy's like, there's a dress code, and he's like, oh really? Well, let me pull out every accolade and favor I have to explain to you who I am. And dude, Beast looks like crap. His face is terrible. He doesn't really look like himself. And it doesn't get any better. Like when he meets Jean Grey in the private dining room on the next page, I didn't realize it was Jean Grey. It was like the next page or two before I was like, oh, this is a reunion of all the old X-Men. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, so Jean has called everybody here because this is a special restaurant for them, and they're all just kind of talking and reuniting, but also Jean's whole thing is like, maybe we shouldn't be X-Men anymore. Enter Charles Xavier, the resurrected Mr. X, or whatever he's calling himself these days. He takes them to, by the way, on page 9, there's a lower right hand panel of X's face that's supposed to be in shadows, but really just looks like he has dirt all over his face. He takes them to Lago, New York, where they run into people who are basically being mind controlled by Satan. I'm going to skip all the exposition here, but there's like this dude who's basically Satan, who's mind controlling all these people because they're being really nice to mutants, but really they hate mutants. And Warren kills the guy because he thinks he has to. At the encouragement of Xavier.
Did this book bore you that bad?
Yeah, it's really bad, dude. The story's okay, but it's just weird. Anyway, they go back to the restaurant with no memory of what they've done, and yeah, because X wiped their minds. Dude, I don't like this new Xavier. I don't. He's evil. There's something wrong with him. He's bad.
Well, he spent thousands of years in the astral plane fighting the Shadow King, so we're not sure he came out sane.
Right. Like, that's the thing is this is not the Xavier that you and I know. This is not Charles Xavier. This is someone different entirely.
Yeah. So next we have, because it's annual week and because we're going to kill Cable this week, we have Cable and Deadpool annual number 1. Now, for those who don't know, Cable and Deadpool have a very long history because for years, Deadpool didn't have his own book and Cable didn't have his own book, and they shared a book. I mean, like 2 series. There are 2 different series of Cable and Deadpool. So apparently, before they killed him one last time, they decided to throw Cable and Deadpool together. Mm-hmm. So there you go. This story opens without Deadpool having any legs and being strapped Cable's back, and they're fighting monsters on dinosaurs. Then we learn that this is, and the art's very good in this book. I'm going to take a dump on this book, but the art's very good in it. Other than the fact that Deadpool likes to sit around and watch TV naked. Anyway, a dude from the Time Variance Authority shows up, says, look, your mother's in danger. You got to go save her. She goes to save her. And then Cable shows up, and then it breaks out into a brawl. And then they just wind up hopping through dimensions, just in time and space. And there are deadly rabbits that eat his legs, which is how he loses his legs in the first of the book. The dude from the Time Variance Authority looks just like the Mad Hatter in golly,
Batman.
No.
Alice in Wonderland.
Thank you, Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah,
I kept thinking the girl that goes down. The girl that goes down the hole is what I kept thinking.
Yeah, they're both the same thing.
But. Okay, yeah. Anyway, great art. This is really just a plot device to have Cable and Deadpool tell a bunch of jokes and kill a bunch of people. And turns out it's really not Deadpool's mom. She's a Time Variance agent also that the Mad Hatter was in love with, so he sent Deadpool out to find her. There you go.
Glad I didn't read it.
You should be. You should be.
We had Hunt for Wolverine, Claws of the Killer number 4. It's the final issue in this thing. Sabretooth and Daken and the lady with the long fingers, are Lady Deathstrike, are fighting zombies or something. I don't know. I'm glad it's over.
Yeah, that pretty well sums it up.
Yeah.
Yep. Next we have Deadpool Assassin number 5. This opens with Deadpool fighting the Assassin's Guild, and some great art in this book. And great color, great art. This is a really good book. He winds up fighting Belladonna, who he thought was alone. Instead, she's got like I don't know, 7 or 8 B-list assassins with her, and Cable goes through all of them. While he's doing it, Weasel is hiding out with his wife, who didn't know that Weasel was a merc with Deadpool. And the other little ladies, is it Trinity? Is that her name? Anyway, she's there with him. Assassins show up to kill Weasel, and he takes a sword through the chest, and I think he winds up dying. Yeah, he's dead. I'm looking, he's dead. Then Deadpool was really angry because, Weasel's dead. When this whole thing started, I thought Weasel had been this character who had been hanging out there for like 5 or 10 years, and they haven't done anything with it. And I thought they were going to kill Weasel. Then I thought, no, he's going to stay alive, and he'll make it out of this book, and they'll introduce him back into the Deadpool series. Now they killed him. I was right the first time. He's dead. This is a good book, man.
Is it? Who's writing?
Yeah. Mark Bagley.
Mark Bagley's an artist.
Yeah, but he writes some too, but he may not be the writer. Hang on. Cullen Bunn.
Oh. Okay, it's probably not bad.
No, dude, it's Bunn and Bagley. It's good. Yep.
Okay. Multiple Man number 3 was great for the one page I got to read of it because Marvel Unlimited didn't want me to read it.
I had trouble with the app this week. There was it Friday or Saturday? I had all kinds of problems with the app. And I finally closed it like 3 times. Then it opened and decided to work. I don't know what its malfunction was.
Yeah, I didn't have trouble with any other comic book, but Multiple Man number 3, I can't read.
No, there was a day it wouldn't open anything for me. Next, we have Weapon X number 22. This was pretty entertaining. Except not Wolverine. Old Man Logan is nowhere to be found, which was kind of confusing. So, anywho, they do this job for Mystique. Yes, Mystique. And dudes try to double cross her. The team's there to back her up. They get paid. And then they decide they want to do a job for free, which I don't really understand, because for 21 issues, they've been wanting to get paid. Now they get paid. And then suddenly Victor Creed decides to do one for free. And even Mystique makes the joke that, maybe this whole Axis thing worked. And maybe you really are a hero these days because you're doing this for free and talking to Sabretooth. Because I've lost track of if Sabretooth is a hero or a villain. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, it seems to bounce around from issue to issue, and it hadn't. I don't know. It's confusing to me too. I'm not sure.
This issue, they pull a Merc job, and then they do a job for free, and even Mystique's like, "Dude, I don't know what we're doing here. I don't know who you are." Anyway, Monet from the X-Men series a couple of years ago, where she got possessed by her brother and she's eating people with her hand. Anyway, she's been mind wiped by this dude here whose name is what's his name? Golly. Some D-list villain. Mentalo. Yes.
Oh Lord.
An old X-Men villain named Mentalo. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, they're able to take Lady Deathstrike's nanobots, and it undoes the work of his of the mind control. However, the dude has paid Deadpool for backup, so in the last page, we get Deadpool there ready to take on the Weapon X team.
Okay, is the art still sucking this book? Because I didn't.
No, it's very good, man.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just that one issue.
Yeah, and it's good. I just don't understand what we're doing with It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, this book's kind of jumped the shark.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a hero, if he's a villain. I don't know what direction we're going with him. I don't know anything about it.
Oh, well. Moving on to Spider-Man, we have Edge of Spider-Geddon number 1. So, we're doing a Spider-Geddon event, which is interesting. This is the first book in that where we see Spider-Punk, who I totally forgot is another version of Hobby Brown. I had forgotten that about Spider-Punk.
Okay.
So he's beating up some thug when Kang shows up. And Kang's like, yeah, you're going to come with me. I'm going to turn you into a corporate mascot and you're going to be great. He and Kang fight for a little while. He meets up with Captain Anarchy, which is like Captain America but different. They fight Kang for a little while. Then like Punk Rock Hulk shows up and puts the hurt on Kang. That's when Spider Woman shows up and is like, "Hey, there's stuff happening. I need you to come to the an alternate universe with me." And Spider Punk's like, "Heck yeah, dude!" So it was good actually. I enjoyed it. So it was fine. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we had a run of Venom events. Now we're going into a run of Spider-Man events. Who wrote this?
Yeah.
Did Nick Spencer write it or did someone else write it?
Someone I've never heard of, Jed McKay.
Okay. Next, we have Spectacular Spider-Man number 308. We won't have a rant about the continuity problems in this book because there are continuity problems in this book, and we've discussed our issues with that ad nauseum. This book opens with the yes. This book opens with I can't remember this dude's name. Is it Sandman? Anyway, he can't keep his sand together.
Yeah.
So he literally can't keep himself composed. So Peter is still working for the Daily Bugle, which he hasn't for a while in Amazing, but he is now over in still is in Peter Parker. I guess he'll get fired eventually. And I understand what happens, which is he can't keep Sandman can't keep his corporal form. So J. Jonah Jameson gets a tip as to where he is, and because he's Peter Parker's sidekick these days, Peter goes into where he is, the Sandman is, and they talk, and then they go on the beach, and he has a happily ever after death there on the beach with Peter sitting with him. But I don't understand all these things that happened in between.
Yeah,
is he hallucinating or what's happening there?
We don't know, and I assume that's going to be what we find out in the coming issues. Because as he's essentially dying, he's having these visions of a future that isn't his.
Right.
So I don't know. I have some theories, but I don't know.
We'll see. Distant futures, not like a year from now, but like thousands of years from now.
Yeah. Billions of years from now.
Yep.
Yeah. I have this idea that because he's sand and those particles can go anywhere and then become made up of any being, at some point another sand being incorporates sand that is part of him, and he gets to experience it. I don't know.
And he's shown as in a crystallized form in a lot of those not flashbacks, flash forwards. He's shown in the crystal form, and I was wondering if somehow, if he assumes that crystal form, he isn't basically immortal. I don't know.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange number 4. Doc Strange's archaeologist buddy gets captured by some dude, and Doc Strange has to team up with one of the dwarves from Asgard to save her, and they go to his forge and start making magic items.
There you go.
Yeah, there's a funny part where the dwarf's like, "Why don't you just make your own?" And Doctor Strange is like, because I never thought to.
That's funny. Did you read Thor number 4?
I got a couple pages in and bailed.
Okay, this was really good. There are so many characters in this book. Peter David should be writing, and I have trouble keeping track of all of them, but it's really good.
Yeah, this is a problem that Jason Aaron sometimes has, is he gets too many characters going in one book, like one issue of a book.
Yes.
And all of a sudden there's too many plot threads to follow and there's just too much going on.
Yeah. I mean, Hela is marrying Thor's long lost brother that I didn't know he had. And then Thanos, I guess. Yeah. And then Thanos interrupts the wedding, and then the villain that they're fighting, the daughter of Surtar, whose name I can't remember, shows up and crashes the wedding. Also, then we cut to Thor that Loki killed last issue. If this sounds like a lot going on, it's a lot going on. Who is at the gates of Valhalla because he wants to recruit the Valkyrie to come help him fight. And they're like, well, we could do that, but to do that, we got to go to hell, and we don't have a way there. Thor's like, of course I have a way there. Cut back to hell, and all of it's breaking loose. We have some funny lines by Thori, who just wants to go fetch a bone, apparently. Just that's all he wants. Just somebody throw a stick so I can go catch it and bring it back to you. Yeah. But then he realized that murder is his calling, so he's going to go murder some more people. Thanos explains to who is this that he's talking to that he was going to marry, because I remember it, and she was the villain in the last Thor movie, and I can't remember her name.
Oh,
Hela. So Thanos explains that their marriage and relationship is null and void.
Get there?
He showed up for the wedding because he and Hela. No, he hasn't died yet. Because as Hela explains, and he explains to Hela, he's about to go chase the Infinity Stones, and she's like, "Those Infinity Stones are going to be." It's a pretty funny line. And then she says, "Oh, by the way, you haven't lifted a finger in this fight, and I could use the help." And he lifts one finger and blows up one of the fire creatures. It's pretty funny. Anywho, then Thor and the Valkyrie show up, and how long is this book? This one's 24 pages. And they start fighting. It's pretty good because the helmet that
it feels way longer.
Yes. The helmet that Hela wears, Thor puts on. And when he does, he assumes her power also. And so at this point, he's kind of an evil, demonic Thor, and just really starts whooping everybody. And everybody's kind of like, yeah, dude, you need to take the helmet off now before something bad happens. Yeah, so then they defeat him. Everybody lives happily ever after. The problem is this is a battle being fought on many fronts, and the War of the Realms is coming. I can tell you at this point, the War of the Realms is 8 months away from being on Unlimited.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I'm not looking forward to it because there's going to be so many tie-ins that it's all we're going to read for months, and I'm already off the reservation with it.
Dude, I got the Marvel preview a couple of weeks ago for issue 1, which will come out in a couple of months, and it's just all War of the Realms. Every hero you can think of is drug into it. Dude, it's just one of those crossover events, man.
And they said a couple years ago they were going to quit doing that, and they learned their lesson for like 5 minutes, and here they are. And I get it. It's a big deal, but like, I don't need a crossover for every single character. Not every character in the Marvel Universe needs to do this. Just contain it to the Thor comic and maybe a couple of your big mainline comics. I don't need it.
I forget the first major X-Men crossover there was, but when I was researching Chris Claremont for our What's Next series, he did an event. There were basically too many mutants running around, and what he needed to do was thin the herd. Okay, so he wanted to kill a bunch of them off. So I think it was called Fall of the Mutants. It was around Uncanny number 215 or something like that. It was called Fall of the Mutants, and he killed a bunch of mutants just because he had too many X-Men, too many villains, and he just needed to thin the pack. And it sold incredibly well. So the editor-in-chief, who I want to say was Jim Shooter at the time, says, "Oh, that was great. What are you doing next year?" And Chris was like, "Yeah, there isn't a crossover next year." "Sure there is, man. It's so great." And Chris was like, "Suddenly I'm having to write a crossover event for all the X books every year because it sold so well."
I enjoy events. I do. But they have moved from having one big event to having multiple small events.
Yeah.
And that's enough. But if you're going to start doing small events plus a big event that crosses over to everything, and it's going to take 12 issues and forever, it's good. I mean, we're 8 months away from it, but if we're going to spend 8 months dealing with it, I don't want it.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Extermination is the way it should be done.
Mm-hmm.
It's 5 issues. It cleans up your universe. It's confined to the X-Men stories, cleans everything up in a neat and tidy package. Say, okay, now we can do this. So it has a purpose. It ships on time. It's 5 issues. It doesn't deviate from the X books, and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it's not hard. It's not rocket science. Speaking of rocket science and Tony Stark number 3, did you ever see the movie Ready Player One?
2/3 of it. I got to go back and finish it.
Okay, that's basically what this issue is. Tony Stark has created this like virtual reality world that he's beta testing. So he gives these masks that integrates you into the virtual reality to a bunch of people, and they all get to be Iron Man. There's a bunch of stuff going on, but fast forward, Metal Man, who's dating Jocasta, who's working for Stark, infiltrates the virtual reality, is upset because humans are using virtual space and that's their space or whatever, and starts killing people, and Jocasta shuts him down and they break up or whatever. Yeah, it was good. It was fun. I didn't enjoy the ripoff of Ready Player One. Dan Slott needs to get a little more creative. We're 3 issues into Iron Man. He's ripping off other things, and oh, by the way, I don't know if you've seen, but he's co-writing most of his books now because he can't publish them on time.
Yeah.
So he's going to get kicked off of most of these books then.
How many's he doing?
He's got Iron Man, Fantastic Four. That's all I can think of. And he can't get either one of them in on time. Because if you look at the most recent solicits, he's got co-writers with him now.
Huh. Okay. Next, we have Weapon H number 6, which was surprisingly good. First off, this is a magnificent cover. The art in the book is very good. The color in the book is extremely good. It opens at a Roxxon facility in Nevada where they have opened the portal to Weird World. And they want Weapon H and a few other characters he's got here, some kind of brood thing, man thing, to close the portal and help defend the portal. And there's an archaeologist there, and she's like, okay, why don't you just unplug it and depower it? And at that point, Weapon H is, we're out, dude. Just shut it down. And Agar explains how much power is coming from Roxxon and says, we're not doing that. So they get outside. Dude's talking to his wife. And of course, he didn't shut the portal down. And now you've got all kinds of creatures coming from Weird World coming through the portal. Weapon H and his team start fighting them. Then Captain America shows up thinking that Weapon H is a villain. And you know what happens? They have to fight because, you know, the heroes always have to fight when, you know, you get a team up like this. Finally, you know, dude's wife pulls them both aside, says, look, you're both stupid. You're both on the same team. Go fight these guys. So next issue, they'll be teaming up and fighting them.
Okay.
It was surprisingly good.
Yeah. I didn't read it, but yeah, I'll probably go back and take a look at it.
Yeah, it was really good, man. I was surprised.
Cool.
Next, we have our Star Wars books. Oh, and I'm doing it. I'm sorry. I was waiting on you to go. No, dude, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was waiting on you. Dude, I thought you were doing Poe Dameron. Next, we have Star Wars Beckett. Now, you rebuked me before we went on the air because I didn't know who Beckett was. And turns out he's a character from the Solo movie, which you love, and I haven't seen yet, even though it's on Netflix.
Yeah. To be fair, this Beckett comic is just okay. It's not great. It's basically a prelude to Solo.
Yeah. But it's he and his buddies robbing a bar and then robbing some other people. It's entertaining. It's not, I mean, it's not bad. I just, you know, once you told me who he was, I was like, oh, okay, that's who he is. All right. Well, it makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't have any real bearing on the Solo story. It doesn't give you any great insight into who Beckett is as a person. It's just a story with Beckett in it. And
It's good art. It's an entertaining story. It's just, yeah,
It is what it is.
yeah,
And to me, it was not necessary.
right,
Yeah, you're telling a story that I don't understand why that needs to be told.
sure.
Anyway, Star Wars Poe Dameron number 30 is actually telling a story I do want to be told, which is what's going on with Black Squadron during the events of The Last Jedi and why we didn't see them in that movie. So Poe gets transmissions from his team, the Black Squadron, detailing what's going on. Basically, they found a planet that's fighting the First Order. They're there to help out, and everything hit the fan. And as you see on the last page, people are probably dead, and I think we're going to see the end of Black Squadron here, or at least the death of a couple of them. Sure. It was a good book, though. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a good book.
Yeah. As for my favorite book this week, I don't know. Probably Infinity Wars number 2.
Yeah, there was that. The Extermination was good. I enjoyed that Thor book. I'm probably going to go with the Extermination.
Okay. Yeah. There were some good books this week. There weren't any great books this week.
Right.
Yeah. This was a week of mediocrity. I felt like there was a couple of standouts, but otherwise everything was just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the dump, we have a bunch of Daredevil books, which should already be an unlimited, but we all know that's one of my pet peeves. So, I won't talk about it again.
Yeah, it's a bunch of old Daredevil books from what, the late 60s, mid 60s?
No, 76 and 77.
Are you sure?
Yes. I'm looking at the dates.
I'm looking at 64 to 67.
November 10th, 1976, December 10th, 1976, January 10th, 1977.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think one of those might be the first appearance of Bullseye. If it's not the first appearance, it's the second appearance.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Some old Daredevil for you. Anyway, that'll do it for this week. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
The website is www.6monthsbehind.com.
And Pat, before we go, do you have any wisdom to bestow upon us?
Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Don't teach a man to fish and you feed yourself. He's a grown man. Fishing's not that hard.
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah, there you go, man.
All right. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace.